Jesus. Yeah, that was my Twitter all day today. Tesla launched a $35,000 car. And more. Coming up. Before I get started, today's shirt is brought to you by Lady Deer. She's on Redbubble. She created this really cool Tesla design. She's from Denmark and she has dyslexia. And so she loves to draw and created this really cool design, and it's available on Redbubble. So if you are interested in it, I'll leave a link to it down below. So unless you've been living under a rock, today you know Tesla made a huge announcement. And it wasn't just one thing that changed, but there were several things that changed. Now, if you aren't subscribed to me on Twitter, please do, because I covered all of this today, all during the announcement. And so if you want the latest breaking news, follow me on Twitter. But for those of you that are not, we're going to summarize everything that Tesla changed today. So let's start with the $35,000 car. As promised, that Tesla made that promise in 2016, a $35,000 Model 3 today is now officially for sale. It starts at $35,000. It comes with a standard interior, which removes the vegan leather seats. It goes to a cloth interior. It does also take away the premium sound. That means less speakers. It takes away the center storage covers, so it's more of an open storage. You lose the wood trim dash. These side panels on the door are cloth instead of soft touch or Alcantara. But you're getting a 220-mile range vehicle, and you're getting it for $35,000. Now, with that, they also launched a partial premium interior, which is a little bit better than standard, but not as good as premium. And so that gives you things like the front seats have the 12-way adjustable seats and they're heated, whereas on the standard, they're not. It also gives you a little bit better sound system. With the partial premium, you get fog lights. You don't get that in standard. And it also looks like Tesla is upgrading all the interiors to having 4 USB ports in the front, which helps when you're dealing with wireless charging and dash cam USB usage and using USB to play music that you've got stored and so forth. So I think that was a good enhancement. They also list, as far as standard and partial premium, a standard maps and navigation. I don't really know what the difference of that is going to be compared to premium. Maybe it means no traffic. Maybe it means no updates over the air. Who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. Another thing you'll notice is that the long-range rear-wheel drive vehicle that Tesla first launched with is back on the menu. That's the vehicle that I have. And that was kind of a nice thing to see. And you'll see that now it's rated at 325 miles. A couple of the other things that you'll notice is that across the line, all the vehicles did get a price cut. Now, I know a lot of you are upset about this price cut. A vehicle that you bought a couple months ago is now cheaper. Well, it is a tough pill to swallow, and I completely understand. But at the same time, what Tesla's doing, and some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about later, is they're figuring out ways to cut costs and really bring down the price of these vehicles. The toughest part about an electric vehicle is that it's still a premium vehicle compared to our standard internal combustion vehicles. And so the lower that Tesla can bring those prices down, the better adoption we will see. And so prices are going to change, and it's the nature of the business. But the nice thing about what Tesla's doing is that they're passing along those savings to the customer. Tesla could very well lower down their costs and just pocket more money, but instead they're passing along the savings to the customer and thus helping to accelerate the world to sustainable electricity with their vehicles. One more thing that I do want to call out that was changed is in the Autopilot options. So when it comes to Autopilot, now you're going to see it's called Autopilot and Full Self-Driving. Previously it was called Enhanced Autopilot. Now Enhanced Autopilot included things like Adaptive Cruise Control, Summon, Auto Park, Auto Lane Change, Nav on Autopilot, and many more. Now what they've done is they've taken just a basic Autopilot. They've lowered the price down to $3,000. Enhanced Autopilot used to be $5,000. Well, with Autopilot now, you're getting some of the base features like the Adaptive Cruise Control and like obstacle awareness, and leaving the summon and the self-driving and the navigate on autopilot as part of the full self-driving feature. So what I have and what people prior to today had for $5,000 today is going to cost you $8,000. But that's going to guarantee you all features of full self-driving for life. For those of us that bought enhanced autopilot previously, we have all these great features, but when the full self-driving becomes available, where the vehicle can take you from point A, your garage, to point B, fully autonomously, without you interfering at all, that will be part of full self-driving, which I did not purchase at the time of my vehicle. And so now if I were to get it, it is advertised as $7,000. Now, Elon did tweet after the announcement that he will look at maybe honoring a $5,000 price point for those of us that were early adopters. So we'll have to wait and find out. Now, again, we know I've talked about this before, but the average cost of car in the United States is about $36,000, and the Model 3 now starts at $35,000. Now, that's before incentives. Here in California, if you qualify, you could get $2,500 back from the state. And then on top of that, the federal tax credit is now $3,450, and so that's an additional bonus on top of that. Plus your savings of gas and oil changes and so forth all add up and bring the cost of this car in a very, very reasonable price point. Now I do want to call out a couple of extra bonus tips that were also brought up on today's big announcements. One was tweeted by Elon regarding nav on autopilot. This was retweeted by Model 3 Owners Group. Thank you, Trevor. This was on navigate on autopilot today. Does recommend you change a lane, but you do have to initiate that lane change. Well, Elon did say that March 15th is when it's estimated that that lane change would require no confirmation. That means your vehicle would automatically change lanes when it saw fit, when it was faster, when it was more efficient, and when it made sense, which is one step closer to full autonomy. The second thing that I want to bring up is the mention of the closing of Tesla storefronts. Now, this actually kind of makes sense. You know, Tesla's got storefronts all across the United States, and those storefronts cost a lot of money to maintain, and they are just that, a storefront, a location that you can go in, walk in, sit in the vehicle, check it out, feel, touch, and so forth. Well, if we close down 90% of those and leave up just a few that are in major metropolitan areas, that kind of savings can be passed on to the customer. As well, Tesla has now taken their return policy and increased it to 7 days or 1,000 miles, whichever comes first. And so I think that's more than enough time for customers to feel comfortable buying the vehicle and testing it out without feeling the pressure that they're committed to buying it. I think this was a really smart and really good move by Tesla. These storefronts are pretty and they're nice, but like I said, they cost money. And this is a much more efficient way by moving all sales to online. Also allows every customer across the United States to be able to buy a Tesla, all at the click of a few buttons. The other really important thing that was brought up in today's announcement is service. So, and I quote, "We will be increasing our investment in the Tesla service system with the goal of same day, if not same hour service, and with most service done by us coming to you. Moreover, we guarantee service availability anywhere in any country in which we operate." This is huge. There's been a lot of talk about service and availability of parts, glass repair, tire repair, and so forth taking months. Well, now with Tesla refocusing and making sales all online and focusing really on service in the next couple of years, it's really going to enhance that customer experience and allow customers to get service more convenient, faster, and quicker. And the last thing that I want to bring up is the enhancements to current owners. So Tesla said that they're excited to announce that we're implementing a number of firmware upgrades for both new and existing customers. These upgrades will increase the range of our long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3 to 325 miles. That's great. I have a long-range rear-wheel drive, and I was quoted at 310 miles. But a software update will unlock 325 miles? That's crazy. What other manufacturer makes your car better the longer you own it? Nobody. And this is why Tesla will succeed. At the same time, they're going to increase the top speed of the Model 3 Performance to 162 miles per hour and add an average of approximately 5% peak power to all Model 3 vehicles. Now, I know some of you with all-wheel drive vehicles are saying, hey, how come we're not getting a 325 miles range bump? We're stuck at 310. Well, it's also key to understand that the all-wheel drive model does have two motors, it's a heavier vehicle, and thus cannot obtain the same efficiency that a rear-wheel drive vehicle can. The other thing to note is that the EPA rated range for the long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3 was actually 325. And so I think this is just Tesla matching that. I think we've always been getting that sort of range, and it's just more about seeing that number show 325 instead of 310. There's no hidden battery power. I think it's just the efficiency at which the rear-wheel drive vehicle can handle. Now, I know a lot of you are probably upset about price drops and so forth, but in everything in life, price changes. The key thing to understand here is that Tesla's passing on savings to its customers rather than hoarding the money themselves, and this allows more customers to be able to enter the world of electricity, and thus allowing Teslas to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy by getting electric vehicles. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up down below. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you have questions or you have comments, leave them down in the comments down below. I love to interact with all of you guys. And remember to fuel on electricity, and I'll catch you guys next time.
And then in terms of price, well, of course, it'll be $35,000. And I want to emphasize that even if you buy no options at all, this will still be an amazing car. You will not be able to buy a better car for $35,000 or even close, even if you get no options.